This looks good.
It looks good. I like it.
Welcome to Soul Seekers TV. I'm one of your soul guides, Patricia Ribeiro Wolfson, and my partner in crime is
Linda Krause Barnett, honored to be here with you and guide you through this journey.
Yes. So we're going to talk about the results of our experiment. So the first soul-seeking experiment is using the book E Squared, which we have here. If you don't have your copy yet and you'd like it, we do have an affiliate link you can use. And it is 9 do-it-yourself experiments that prove that your thoughts create your reality. So we thought, let's do this together. So we announced the first prompt. The first prompt had to do with the first principle. And the first principle was the dude abides, which was a little experiment that we did that basically you set your intention and you ask the universe to send you a blessing or an unexpected gift. And you wait 48 hours and then talk about your results. So today is our results day. So Linda, would you like to start about your results?
I would love to start about my results. And if I can, Trish, I think what I'm going to start with is a little bit of background like what you and I talked about over the last few days.
Yes.
So I think partners are really good to have during these experiments, or at least someone to kind of talk you through them. Because as we discussed, one of the things that I put out there when we introduced the experiment, something I was very clear about is no judgment, no doubt. No judgment, no doubt. And then I proceeded to have judgment and doubt and judgment and doubt. And so when we talked and when we tried to analyze where that was coming from, in our conversation, Trish and I realized that, you know, I love words and I love the meaning of words and I love the reframe of words. And so the two words that were apparent to me in this journey of the do to abide principle was perception and expectation. Like, if I had to say my biggest takeaways would be those two things, more so than the result. Because let me walk you through my experience. And my experience was that I went into this with a perception, my perception of how this was going to go down, my perception of what I validated as true blessings and unexpected gifts, and what maybe I didn't. And so one of the things that was in my perception was that if I was already familiar with a blessing and it wasn't something new, that it didn't count. Okay, so if I saw evidence for something I already believed or something I already prescribed to, then I thought, well, that's not an unexpected gift because that happens to me, and so that must not be it. And I kept being so hyper aware of time. Like I kept seeing the 48 hours go count down instead of count up because I was running out of time for my blessing to come. And I had that fear of what if it doesn't come to me, but it goes to everybody else? And what if? And so my expectation was that it had to be new, it had to be big, it had to be neon, it had to be like, I wanted someone to walk in my, walk past me in Target with the shirt that said FP, the dude. And I looked for him and I was like, I'm looking at all these men like, are you the dude? Are you the dude? Somebody be the dude, please. So I had really kind of, tried to control the outcome. And I think that was a bit of an eye-opener for me. And so one of the things I'd like to say real quick before I just quickly dive into my results is that I didn't release the outcome. I didn't unattach to how things were supposed to work out. And I know logically in the teachings of this soulful journey that the way it's supposed to go is I ask for what I want, I set an intention, and then I don't worry about how it comes to me. I just let that go. But being the control freak that I've always been and habits die hard, I realized I saw myself trying to really manipulate the blessing. And what's so funny is that obviously I'm not the one giving myself the blessing, so I couldn't control it. And it kept me way up in my head instead of way down in my heart. And I think that that had an effect. So quickly, I will say, before we start the discussion with you, that one of the things I perceived as not a blessing because it had already happened to me. I have been teetering with my gift of clairvoyance for most of my life. And many of you on here already know. I talk about it a lot. If you've been personally around me, I've just never owned it. You know, I've had glimpses of it, but it never seemed controllable. And I couldn't dictate, like, I want to be clairvoyant in this moment, or I want to be clairvoyant about this particular situation. But I got two really clear clairvoyant signs. They were just, my perception was that they were about daily tasks. And so, not that important. The dude would have been much more clear in talking to me. So that's not my gift. That's not my message. They were little, like, I lost my credit card recently and I've been trying to look for it. And I went to go pay at my awesome hairdresser who has fixed my root problem. Jamie Levine, you rock.
Your root problem.
And my garbage disposal problem. And I was like, you know what would be great is to have a picture of a credit card. I wonder if they accept that as currency. Like, could I just show a picture of my credit card front and back? Because if I just took pictures of my credit cards, then if I ever lost them, I could just show the picture. But certainly they don't just take pictures. And after hours and hours of doing my hair, I go up to the register, the counter to pay. And lo and behold, there's a lady standing there who has forgotten her credit card at home and needs to pay.
You're cutting out. Do you
Can
have
you hear
your
me now?
earbuds?
My air,
Yes.
the little, yeah, maybe I
No,
could
you're
find
perfect
those.
now. You were cutting
Okay.
out. I don't know what you did, but it worked. So keep going.
I just won't move. And the lady at the register was paying, but had forgotten her credit card and was showing the receptionist a photograph of the credit card on her phone. And she's like, can you just take this? I mean, I know it's just a picture, but I'll show you ID and you'll see it's really me. And she had the front and she had the back. And I was like, It was important. But because those little moments of clairvoyance had happened before, it didn't seem like the gift, the unexpected blessing.
You know, and I think that's the important thing for us to really focus on and for everyone else. And one of the main reasons that we're doing this together collectively is we want to share openly what our experiences are. And we're not going to pretend to be experts on these, you know, soul-seeking adventures. We're on this journey right along with you. And Linda and I have been talking, well, all week, but definitely the last couple of days about our results. And what's come up for us and what hasn't come up for us and what our limiting beliefs are and what are the stories we're telling ourselves and the stories we're telling each other. And, you know, where Linda was discounting her gifts, her blessings, and her unexpected gifts, which she was like, nah, you know, you can do that. You can get all these signs and these magical blessings. And in fact, it happens every single day. Every single day, you are being given signs from the universe or maybe from people on the other side or, you know, to just let you know that you're on track or to send you a little bit of encouragement. But we ignore those signs. So often we ignore them. And I think that the purpose of this, this principle was to sort of make us be much more attuned to those blessings. And so, you know, what I was doing was like, oh, this is a blessing. Oh, this has got to be a blessing. Oh, I'm sure this is a blessing too. And so, and what I love about having me and Linda do this together is we do approach things from very different perspectives. And Linda is a denier, which I love you, but very much she denies her gifts, she denies her magnificence and her brilliance, she denies the things that are like right in front of her, unless she's getting a 2x4 to the head, which she did get one today. And we'll talk about that in a second. That was the final confirmation of that those were actual signs. Oh, hi, Misty. But for me,
Hi,
I found myself literally like counting everything as a blessing, because I also didn't want to be left out and not have no blessing. So I was like, oh, well, this happened, and oh, this. So, but I discounted it too. So the first day after we did our video, which I felt was a good intention setting experience as it was, but Linda and I both had planned to do an intention setting ceremony on our own. But like within a couple of hours of our video, some of you may have seen the post, I received like a comment on Instagram from Pam Grout, the author of the book. So I saw it and I was like, oh my God, this is my sign. That was my first reaction. Like, this was my big unexpected gift, my blessing. But when I told Linda the story, of course, then I followed it up with, well, I guess she was going to answer eventually because I've been tagging her. And so immediately, although I was like, this is my sign, but that little critical voice in me was saying like, yeah, but you've been tagging her, so you shouldn't be that much of a surprise, right? And I'm doing the same thing with the story of this being a worthy surprise. And then I did receive other great news. I got a financial blessing, but I was like, well, does it count? Does it not count? And I made the decision, and if any of you are on the email list or have been following us on Soul Seekers TV, you may have seen the email. I chose to accept everything as the blessing. Every little thing that came my way, I was like, this is a blessing, and this is a blessing, and this is a sign. And, if it doesn't get bigger than this, that's okay, because collectively it's all still nudges, right? Like, and we even talked about it in reference to our husbands, right? So Linda and I are both married to our like best friends, and they're not necessarily big, like grand gesture, like your birthday blowout, your whatever big gift in the typical way, but they're constantly supporting us in the day-to-day, in the little things, but consistently. And those little things, and I've said very often in my own experience, that those count for so much more. Like when my husband sees that I'm really tired and I haven't gotten to the dishes yet, he might go wash the dishes. Not that he doesn't normally, and this isn't a discussion about who does what, but he'll see I'm exhausted and my intention was to wash the dishes, and he'll wash them. That is a blessing. That is a gift. Or anything else. And I think that that's important, that the universe is consistently sending us little gifts and little blessings. And we often discount them as nothing special. But much like that meme or that quote says, you can look at life as everything is a miracle, or you can look at life as though nothing is a miracle. And that is the choice of perspective. And our purpose, I'm speaking for both of us, but I think Linda will agree that our purpose on Soul Seekers TV is to help you shift your perspective into one where you see that everything is magical. Everything is a miracle. And when you really start to open up to that and accept that as your truth and as your perspective, you will be amazed at what starts to unfold for you. So Linda, what was the confirmation? Share with everyone what the confirmation was this morning that this little sign was a sign.
Yeah. So again, we were talking about the deadline, like the contract expires. And so I pulled some cards this morning with Trish while we were kind of prepping the call, and saying, okay, like we're about to go live. I need the message. I need to know what what I'm going to put out there. I need to know what my space is. And the card I got was a sun and moon yin yang, and it said synchronicity. And it said, "Thank you, angels, for." Should I go get it?
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
In the meantime, I just want to point out to anyone who has their own stories. If you did this experiment and you put the principle
Okay.
to the test, we also want to hear from you. So feel free to either comment on the page, or if you're watching this as a replay, you can still comment or send us a message, or come on to Soul Seekers Live and share your story. We'd love to hear
That's
your
actually the part I'm
experience.
the most excited about. I
Mm-hmm.
cannot wait to hear how this went down for everybody else. I mean, I'm so intrigued by that. So this was the card. It was the yin yang card, and it's called Synchronicity. And it says, "Thank you, angels. I trust your well-timed guidance and signs." Well-timed guidance and signs.
And we had
So that was
literally just talked
definitely,
about synchronicity. Like you literally in our conversation last night said, I believe in synchronicity that happens like no big whoop, like big whoop.
yeah. Yeah, and I realized, like, oh, I've been clairvoyant before. Oh, I see signs all the time. Oh, I see synchronicities all the time. I don't know why that makes it any less amazing. Like each gift should be more amazing than the last. It's not because it's already happened that it loses its magic, because it honestly doesn't. But I think
Yeah.
that goes back to, the expectations. It's like, this was my birthday and I wanted a really big birthday gift. And I had this idea of a judgment of what my blessing would be. I want to also say, we're vessels and we're conductors of source. And I think that these blocks, if this experiment was for some people a way to actually get the blessing and get your mind rocked by it so that you believe, then that's freaking fantastic. And maybe for those of us who kind of already are in that zone and we believe because we've had our mind rocked already, and now it's like, wait a minute, it's like a plug, yes, it will light up the lamp and it will charge things and your phones, and it'll electrify whatever you plug it into, only if the plug is free as a conduit, only if there's no blocks. And so I think for me, I realized that there were blocks in my conductivity line, and that maybe my wire needs to, like, maybe it's kinked and I just need to like straighten it out. I know I've already been convinced that once I plug in, I'm going to charge the shit out of whatever I plug into. But if it's not happening, because I believe in the electricity going through the wire, I already believe in that. So if it doesn't plug in, I don't say, like, wow, this plug is a non-electric plug. Like, it's not possible, I just
Mm-hmm.
have to now problem solve. Is the light broken? Is the wire kinked? There's got to be something else, because I know that if it's free to flow, it's gonna power things up. And so for me, more so than an actual per se blessing or gift, was this concept of, like, all right, I know it's there. So if I didn't get it, where am I blocking? And that's still good shit to know.
Yeah, and it's still true. It's true to be open to that, because I think that sometimes it's like, I don't know if it's necessarily that you're blocking it. I think you're just not accepting it. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
and not
Yeah.
that you're not accepting that it exists, but you're like, you're not making it mean um, what it means. And this is the important thing about the stories that we tell ourselves about what happens in our life. And this extends way beyond this experiment,
Yeah.
right? Like when something happens, we automatically tell ourselves a story of what it means, right? So somebody comes up to you and says, wow, you look beautiful today. And you may tell yourself a story. You may tell yourself a story that's like, wow, oh, I had that shake this morning, so it must have immediately, showed that, it must be like the whatever ingredients I put in that shake, I got to put those ingredients in that shake every single day. And you think like the story is that this shake made you shine, right? Or you could take that same information and be like, oh, she's just saying that because, whatever, like she doesn't really mean it. And you can make that the story, that somebody's just giving you compliments because maybe they thought you looked terrible and they wanted to make you feel better. Like, you can tell yourself literally any story, and we are so brilliant at telling ourselves any story and backing it up with facts and backing it up with evidence. And that is our perspective. And you can literally tell yourself two opposing stories and back both up with actual evidence. And what we want to encourage, not just for you guys, but for us, and why we talk to each other all the time, is we want you to tell yourself the best story possible. The story filled with possibilities. The story that's filled with adventure and fun. And not the story that's going to block you from experiencing life, but the story that's going to allow you to take chances, to take risks, to believe in yourself, to believe in humanity, and to move forward and expand as a person, because we are all connected. And if I feel expansive and magical, Linda's going to feel expansive and magical, and her family's going to feel expansive and magical, and my family, and all the people that we touch, and all the people in your circle, in your community. If you are someone who feels love and fun and expansion and the possibilities and everything, you are going to infect the people in your life with that same thought. And maybe you're not going to change anybody's mind, and maybe you're not going to change anybody's life, but you will plant a seed in the minds of the people who you hang out with. And that seed that you plant will be watered every time something good happens to them. So if you plant a seed of like, everything is magical, and that's our purpose here. We want to plant the seed for you that life is magical. And so right now you're going, yeah, whatever. Maybe you're not, maybe you believe it. But if you're kind of,
maybe you're not.
Whatever. But maybe, and if you're watching this, chances are you think life is potentially magical. If you're not convinced, you're probably on the cusp because you're watching this.
Or there's always people who watch it trying to, like you said, see evidence for their own belief system, yes, which says that it doesn't exist and it didn't work. So I think you're right. You come into this, with your perception and your expectations, and at the end of the day, the more open you are, it's like you can't, we still haven't mastered quantum physics enough to walk through a closed door. So the door has to be open as far as we know in this realm. And I think conceptually that's a great thought, like the more doors and windows you open, the more air gets in.
Yes, I love that.
And right now, like, that's what I want to do. I just want to open the doors and windows, and I expect beautiful blue jays, cardinals, and butterflies to fly in, but who knows? It might be like some really cool crow or
love the crows,
owl. I don't know.
Owls are magical.
But the thing is to not expect that if I open the door, I expect it to be a blue jay. Because then what happens is you either miss the owl or you don't like the owl because he's not a blue jay.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, that's super important. You're absolutely right. And one of the things that I learned over the last few years was exactly that our expectations for our own life are so limited in comparison to the universe's vantage point of what's possible. Like,
yes.
Think of people, let's say 200 years ago, let's say 50 years ago, and if you thought like, oh, I'd love to call you like and I remember thinking as a kid, oh, it'd be so good if I could just like pick up the phone and walk to the other room. You had a cord. There was no, you had a cord. You were attached to a cord.
Don't age us. No one knows that that's when we were born.
Oh, it's all good. But who would, and if we said, if I could just like, all I want, universe, is a cord that's long enough to go from my kitchen to my living room, right? And if that's the only thing you got at that time, you would be like, oh my God, I got the long phone cord. This is But then, if you're not open to what's else is out there, you would have missed, having a phone in your car, having a phone in your hand, doing shopping on a little device. Like, there is so much more out there than you could ever conceive. So don't limit yourself using your expectations, because your expectations limit you. So remove those expectations as much as possible. And as Linda said, I think that for the rest of this experiment, if you can find a buddy to do this with, somebody that can kind of help either keep you accountable.
Even us, we'll be glad to be your buddies.
Well, that's the thing too, is, if you haven't joined our email list, for notifications of when we're going live and everything, then I really encourage you to join us. And then you can also reach out to us individually and reach out to us via email and ask us if you need some support. Like, I'm not getting this, I'm not feeling this. We want to be there to support you. And we want to hear your stories. We want to know how this went.
I want to hear them so badly.
Is there? Please. And if there's anybody on here that wants to share, then please do. And if not, that's okay too.
If you see the comments, Trish, I think because I've joined you, I can't see the comments.
Yeah. So I have Lisa Laurel said, "Good stuff, girls. I choose to be of the belief that everything is a blessing starting now." Yay!
I love you, Lisa.
I love that. And Misty, exclamation mark synchronicity. And Maria Joy Rizzo said, "So wonderful to have continued blessings." And that's the thing. Just because this part of the experiment or this principle is over, don't now shut down and be like, it's over, nothing.
That works. I was just going to say that. And that's a past pattern of mine. I'm so glad you said that, because that is on point, and it was in my mind. You're exactly right. Like, for those who are, who may feel not as wowed by this as they anticipated themselves to be. Nobody in particular. What
do you mean?
For those people who, although this morning in this little card, right before the live, like right before my deadline changed, I felt the shift energetically. But to piggyback Trisha's point, because it's so important, like, especially for skeptics, especially for people on the fence, like, who are like, see, told you, like, you've got to, if you, I don't know what kind of analogy this is, but it's the one I'm going to give you. But, I love fresh squeezed citrus and oranges and lemons. But if you just like squeeze it a little and you go, that lemon sucked,
you're missing out,
and you're like, yeah, you're like, you just gave it a little squeeze, but you're blaming the lemon. And you're like, what a shitty lemon. But if you like squeeze it and keep squeezing it and keep squeezing it, you're going to get more juice. So guys, the next experiment is more juice. You got to keep squeezing.
I love that analogy. That was really good. I could totally, you get just a little bit, but it's like, there's more juice.
And it's not the lemon's fault. You just weren't squeezing enough. So don't blame the field, the force, the source, the book, because it's in our control. And so we just have to dance the dance, it's a practice. It is a practice. Life is a practice, right? We're here, we're trying to figure it all out, and we're better at some things than others, but keep squeezing, because
keep squeezing.
Keep squeezing.
I love that. Keep squeezing. And I also want to say, like, whether it's for skeptics or, whatever you identify yourself
that's really
as,
not who we're targeting anyway.
No, I really don't think that big skeptics are watching us right now. I mean, maybe to, like, troll us, but I don't know why.
I don't even know who's on right now.
I don't know. But I will say that just because it didn't happen within that time period, although maybe for the experiment it didn't work, but it doesn't remove the magic from it anyway, right? It's like, it doesn't remove the love when somebody, when you're expecting a call from somebody and they didn't call you the day that you anticipated, but they called you the next day and they made you feel good. It doesn't change. Like, maybe you want to be upset with them that they didn't call when they said they were going to call, but you can choose to look at it as, they called now and I needed that call now. because I guarantee you, no matter what's happening in your life, you're
Yeah,
never going
so
to be
true.
at a point where you're like, nope, I didn't need a phone call today. I didn't need the universe's blessings. Every day you need
Yep.
blessings. There's nothing bad that can come from getting it like outside of the experiment's parameters. What we're hoping to do with this is open up the possibilities for you to see that way beyond the experiment's parameters, you can receive the signs, the blessings, the unexpected gifts. And it's really about shifting your perspective to look at that as the way it is versus the exception.
Yeah. And what changed all of that for me, I know it is definitely not a new story. A lot of spiritual people on this journey, you'll hear about it on YouTube, on Facebook. For me, it's always worth mentioning because it really did. I'm such a visual
You're cutting
kinesthetic learner.
again.
Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, it went.
Can you hear me better now?
Yes, go.
Okay. I'm such a visual learner that the whole TV station
It's cutting
announce.
out. It's not that it's
It's
not
like I don't
loud.
even
It
move.
just. Oh wait, it was working. Go.
Like stuck in this position.
Don't hold it because then it gets really
Okay. What
loud.
about now?
Now it's perfect. So go ahead.
Okay. Um, it's an analogy I've heard many times, or a story I've heard many times, but it really resonates so much with me. It's the whole, it's a frequency, right? And so we equate that to a radio station or to a television station because that's a frequency we're familiar with. We're not as familiar with the frequency of our being, but our being runs on a frequency. And it's just like there are channels. I don't enjoy the fishing channel, and it's nothing against fishers. Like, fishers are hot, but I don't enjoy the fishing channel. I
Did you say
enjoy.
fishers are hot?
Well, I'm just saying, there's some hot fishermen out there.
Yes.
Nothing against people who fish. It's not a
Obviously.
channel. I don't watch the golf channel. So if I'm watching the golf channel and I'm totally like, gosh, I just wish this was a cooking show and I can like learn to make a meal for my family, but I don't change the channel, I'm going to be resisting and resisting. And so I love that story for me because we are energetic beings, which means we send out frequencies, and just change the channel. Bring in content into your life that makes you feel good. Start there. If Soul Seekers makes you feel good, keep watching.
Keep watching. Yeah.
Yeah, and go towards the content, the material, the pictures, the things that just make you feel good. And I always use that. Like, if it makes me feel good, I'm in the right place. Somehow I'm doing something right because it feels really good. It feels good here, 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 here. Like, it just feels good. And I know, I always even will, like, my kids know, I'll be like, changing the channel if I'm in an area where someone kind of gets in my space and I'm like, yuck. I don't know what it is about you, but I'm not feeling this right now. Or I'll listen to content and it takes me 2 seconds to realize, like, nah, not for me. And I immediately change, and really bringing that into my own and saying, I am an energetic being with a frequency and I have the power to change the vibration in the channel and to get what makes me feel good. And if you always go back to that as your kind of like frame, then once you're tuned in to what you enjoy, the messages, I think, just naturally come.
Yes. I do believe that they do start to come in because you're tuned in. That was really beautifully said. So, it doesn't appear that anybody wants to participate or at least doesn't want to share right now. And that's totally fine. You may not want to share. You just may want to keep tabs on our own experiences. And that's wonderful. If you change your mind or you're watching the replay, then please comment below and let us know what your particular experience was, whether you received a blessing or you didn't receive a blessing. Maybe you were disappointed. Maybe it was exactly what you expected, whether the blessing was what you expected or the disappointment was what you expected.
Exactly.
We want to hear all about it. And you can also reach out to us privately. You can send us a message on Facebook. You can access our, profiles through the Soul Seekers page. You can watch us on YouTube and share it with your friends and get people on board to do this with you because it will be more fun. If everybody starts doing this experiment together, it's more fun. And when you want to reach out to us, send us an email, get on our list so that you will be, getting the updates. And also, if you can't catch us live, we'll send you an email with all of the information that you need to either conduct the experiment or maybe to share your results.
And if you get the book, like you could see right all over it, take really cool notes.
Yes.
So our link will be posted as well.
Perfect. So I think that's it for today.
All right, everybody, it's been real. And Monday at 11:11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we will be on and we will be discussing the next principle. We're not going to give it away. Those of you who have the book already know, but for the rest of you, we're going to reveal it on Monday, 11/11, September 30th. And we can't wait to dig in and dive into the next principle with you and see how it goes.
Yeah, we'll see you then. Bye.
Okay, bye guys.